My husband called the Paris trip a mandatory conference. He didn't know every step he took inside that hotel was being tracked from my house in Dallas. The wife he abandoned was running this like her most complex emergency shift. 3 seconds after his keycard swiped, a package, an encrypted drive, and legal papers landed right alongside him. He thought he was starting a new life with his affair. He had no idea he was the patient, and I was the one holding the scalpel. My name is Tegan Gray. I am sitting in my small kitchen in Dallas. The Formica countertop is cold under my forearms. The only light comes from the glow of my laptop screen, reflecting the exhaustion I see in the dark kitchen window. My coffee, hours old, sits untouched. My eyes are locked on a single browser tab, a minimalist portal for a luxury hotel I have never seen. The page displays the reservation for the Hôtel de la Rivière Étoilée, and then it happens. The status, which for hours read, confirmed flickers and updates. A simple, sterile green checkmark appears next to the words, checked in. He's there, at this exact second, 5,000 miles away and 7 hours ahead. Nathan Cross steps onto polished marble. I can picture it perfectly. The lobby of the Hôtel de la Rivière Étoilée is a symphony of gold leaf and velvet, smelling of lilies and old money. He is not alone. Sloane Pierce is on his arm. Her laughter just a little too bright. Her red coat, the one he bought her with our joint savings, is probably draped over her arm. They approach the grand check-in desk, and Nathan, my husband of 10 years, gives the concierge his most charming, corporate smile. I know that smile. It is the one he uses to close deals and to tell lies. Reservation for Cross, he says, his voice smooth. The concierge, a woman with immaculate posture, taps on her keyboard. Ah, oui, Monsieur Cross. And will Madame Gray be joining you this evening? I watch the tracker on the hotel's public booking interface. The room is now officially occupied, in Paris. Nathan laughs, a light, dismissive sound. Oh, no, there must be some mistake. I have never been married. Sloane squeezes his arm, her smile widening. She believes him. She believes every carefully constructed lie he has fed her. The concierge does not blink. Her smile remains professionally painted on. My apologies. Monsieur, a database error, no doubt. She slides 2 key cards across the desk. Welcome to the Rivière Étoilée, as she hands them over. She glances behind her. Ah, and this arrived for you just a short while ago. It was marked for immediate delivery upon your arrival. She signals to a bellman, who moves forward, not with their luggage, but with a single, large, reinforced courier box. It is taped with heavy-duty black seals. The label is printed in stark, bold letters. Private courier, delivered directly to suite, confidential. Nathan looks at it, momentarily confused. Then recognition dawns on his face, or at least, what he thinks is recognition. He nods, looking important. Ah, yes, from the conference organizers. Excellent. Please have it sent up with our bags. He thinks it is proprietary data from Apex Vantage Diagnostics. He thinks it is his future, back in Dallas. My kitchen is silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. My finger hovers over the mouse. On my screen is a custom-built email dashboard, a project I coded myself during countless overnight shifts when the ER was quiet, fueled by vending machine coffee and a cold, clarifying rage. The interface is simple. It has one large, red, virtual button. The button is labeled Execute Paris Protocol. I clicked it. The screen confirms the action. Protocol initiated. A cascade of digital dominoes begins to fall, silent and invisible. Timed emails, encrypted with keys he does not possess, are released from draft status and sent to a precise list of recipients. Attachments, meticulously curated scans, audio files. Bank records are uploaded to secure, anonymous servers, with download links simultaneously dispatched. Backup triggers are activated, ensuring that if any single email is intercepted or deleted, Another copy from a different server is sent 30 minutes later. The entire digital architecture of my husband's secret life is now being systematically dismantled. My heart rate is steady, 82 beats per minute. I checked it on my pulse oximeter just before he landed. This is the calm I know well. It is not peace. It is focused. It is the profound, almost spiritual stillness that descends in Trauma Bay 1, right after you have successfully intubated a patient who came in coding. The tube is in. The breath is secured. The monitors are steadying. But you know, with absolute certainty, that the real storm, the systemic infection, the internal bleeding, the true crisis, is only just beginning. You have just secured the airway. Now the real surgery starts. My husband, Nathan Cross, the brilliant chief financial officer, flew halfway across the world with his mistress to begin their new life. He left me here, in this kitchen, to play the role of the supportive, slightly naive wife, the one too busy with her demanding nursing career to notice his long hours or his sudden, expensive tastes. He thinks I am, at this very moment, probably asleep, recovering from a 12-hour night shift. He has no idea that he just stepped onto the most expensive, most elaborate stage of his life, a stage that I, his naive little wife, have been building, scripting, and lighting for the past 6 weeks. The scene cuts back to Paris. The gilded elevator doors open directly into their suite. It is obscene. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook the Seine, a river of light. There are roses, dozens of them, blood red, on every surface. A bottle of Bollinger, the expensive kind, is chilling in a silver bucket. Sloane squeals, running to the window, capturing it all for her Instagram story, carefully keeping his face out of the frame. Nathan follows her, smug, victorious. He has done it. He has the woman, the city, the life, and then he sees it, on the antique mahogany desk, placed squarely in the center. Next to the champagne is a single, thick, cream-colored envelope. It is heavy, made of expensive cardstock. It feels official. His name is written on the front in sharp, black calligraphy. Not printed, for Mr. Nathan Cross, open after midnight. He picks it up, weighing it in his hand. He probably thinks it is a welcome package from the hotel's CEO, a spa voucher, perhaps, an invitation to a private reception. Let me tell you what is in that envelope. It is not a spa voucher. Inside is a curated collection of documents designed to make a man like Nathan, a man whose entire identity is built on numbers and reputation, feel his blood turn to ice. It contains a high-resolution screenshot of his encrypted email to Sloane, the one where he jokes about my convenient travel insurance policy. It contains a full, itemized bank statement from the secret account he opened, showing the funds systematically drained from our mortgage equity line. It contains a copy of the new insurance contract itself, the one listing Sloane Pierce as a financial dependent and primary beneficiary, and tucked neatly at the very back, folded into thirds, is the pièce de résistance, a legally filed summons for divorce from the state of Texas, citing adultery and fraudulent conveyance. To understand why I sent my husband's entire secret life, bound and delivered, to his hotel room door in Paris, we have to go back 6 weeks. We have to go back to when Paris was still just my own unfulfilled honeymoon dream. 6 weeks ago, I was just Tegan Gray, 37 years old, and my primary descriptors were tired and ER nurse. My life runs on a different clock than the rest of the world. I work nights at one of the biggest, most chaotic Level 1 trauma centers in Dallas. My world smells like industrial bleach, stale coffee, and the faint, metallic tang of blood. I exist in a state of managed chaos, surviving on a diet of sarcasm and caffeine, the only 2 drugs I trust. I am the person who holds your hand while cutting off your jeans, the one who calmly counts ribs as I start chest compressions, the one who tells you it will be okay even when I know it will not. My marriage to Nathan Cross ran on a similar parallel track of survival, or so I thought. We had been together for 10 years, a classic college romance that solidified into a stable, predictable adult partnership, while I was in the trenches of human suffering. Nathan ascended into the sterile stratosphere of corporate finance. He was the chief financial officer at Apex Vantage Diagnostics, a rising star in the medical tech world. Our dynamic was simple. I gaffed the real-world wounds, and he managed the strategic vision. I worked 12-hour shifts. He worked 12-hour days. We lived in a tidy beige townhouse in a suburb north of the city. We had the requisite mid-size SUV, the friendly neighbors we waved to but never invited inside, and a routine built around exhaustion. Dinners were usually microwaved meals eaten on the sofa, our faces lit by the glow of some streaming service, too tired to talk about our respective days. We were planning to have kids. That was the official line. But planning had stretched into 5 years of Nathan saying it just was not the right time for his career, that he needed to be fully established before we took that step. I was the one pulling double shifts to cover the student loans he insisted we consolidate, but his career was the one that always required sacrifice. The first tremor, the first sign that the foundation was cracked, happened at the Apex Vantage Annual Awards Gala, a night I universally dreaded. I hated trading my comfortable gray scrubs for a silk dress that cost too much and suffocated me. I always felt like an imposter at these things, a field medic surrounded by generals. That is where I really saw Sloane Pierce for the first time. She was not new, but she was newly powerful, the young, aggressive director of marketing. All sharp angles, perfect teeth, and a wardrobe that screamed, "I have never seen the inside of a Target." She was magnetic, and she was attached to Nathan's side all night. I was standing near the bar, nursing a flat ginger ale, when I watched Nathan tell one of his famously unfunny CFO jokes. A few partners offered polite, strained chuckles, but Sloane laughed. She threw her head back, a loud, bright, theatrical laugh that was entirely too much for the joke, and then she did it. She laid her hand on his forearm, just above the cuff of his expensive suit. It was not a pat. It was not a friendly gesture. Her fingers lingered, her thumbs stroking the fabric lightly, as if she were testing the material, as if she owned it. I watched her, and she, sensing my gaze, looked right at me across the room. She did not look guilty. She smiled, a tight, dismissive little smirk, before turning her full, undivided attention back to my husband. That night, back home in our silent townhouse, I gathered his suit and shirt for the dry cleaner. I am a nurse. I am attuned to smells. It is a survival mechanism in my job. And his shirt was wrong. It was not my cheap, unscented fabric softener. It was not the stale smell of the banquet hall. It was perfume, something expensive, floral, and heavy. I pressed the collar to my nose. I had never smelled it before. When he came out of the shower, toweling his hair, I held it up. "Smells like you had a better time than I did." He did not even look at me, just laughed it off. "Oh, that must have been in the gift bag. They were handing out samples of some new fragrance at the door. You know, marketing crap." It was a good lie, a plausible lie. I almost believed him. I told myself I was just tired. I put the shirt in the bag. But then the other symptoms started to appear. Small things, almost invisible on their own, but a clear pattern when charted. Nathan, who considered walking from the parking garage to his desk his cardio for the week, suddenly joined an expensive, high-intensity gym. He started talking about his core strength and macros. Then came the physical therapy appointments. They were always on Thursdays, always at 5:30 in the evening, right during happy hour. When I asked which clinic, he was vague. "Just some specialist downtown, for my shoulder." But his shoulder seemed fine when he was reaching for the remote. He started buying new clothes, not just work shirts, but underwear, expensive, fitted boxer briefs in dark, solid colors. I had been buying him the same 3 packs of cotton boxers from the department store for our entire marriage. He had never complained. Now, suddenly, he had a drawer full of silk blends. He was curating himself, and he was not doing it for me. He had not so much as bought me a new pair of socks in 2 years. The diagnosis came, as it so often does, via a piece of technology. It was 3 in the morning. I was wide awake, my body wired for the night shift I had taken off. Nathan was working late, a phrase that had become increasingly common. I picked up our shared iPad from the coffee table, intending to read a medical journal. A notification bar was illuminated at the top of the screen. It was from our airline rewards app. Your upcoming trip to Paris has been confirmed. We look forward to seeing you in November. I stared at it. Paris. My blood went cold. Paris was our place, the place we were supposed to go for our 10th anniversary, the honeymoon we never had, the trip we could not afford just 6 months ago. He had told me he was going to Chicago, a mandatory finance conference in Chicago. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe the conference moved. Maybe it was a multi-city trip. Maybe I was just exhausted and reading it wrong. I clicked the notification, but it just led to the app's home screen, the trip details hidden behind his password. I let it go. I told myself I was being crazy. The final, undeniable proof came 2 days later. I was in his car, our shared SUV, looking for the sunglasses I had left on the dash. I started the engine to get the air conditioning going against the Texas heat. As the system booted up, the dashboard screen lit up, connecting to Nathan's phone. He had left his phone in the center console, and because the Bluetooth was synced, his most recent voicemail started playing automatically over the car speakers. It was not his voice, it was hers. Sloane. Her voice was giddy, intimate, and laced with possession. "Hey, Nate in Paris," she cooed, and my stomach dropped through the floor. "Just calling to say the hotel upgrade is confirmed. I got the river view. I cannot wait. Just promise me you will not forget to pack that lucky red tie of mine. You know the one." I hit the power button, plunging the car into silence. Nate in Paris, that lucky red tie of mine. I sat there for a long time, the plastic steering wheel digging into my palms. Every excuse, every rationalization, evaporated. This was not paranoia. This was not night shift-induced stress. I spend my life assessing trauma. I know the difference between a superficial cut and a wound that goes straight to the bone. I know the look of a patient who is trying to lie about their symptoms. And I know the smell of an infection that has gone septic, the sweet, cloying odor of decay hiding just beneath the surface. This, right here, was sepsis. My marriage was not just sick. It was rotting from the inside out. And I knew, with the chilling certainty of a career spent diagnosing the dying, that something was terribly, fundamentally wrong. In the ER, you learn to trust patterns. A patient presenting with shortness of breath, a cough, and a low-grade fever in October is probably the flu. A patient presenting with the exact same symptoms in August, after a long flight, might be a pulmonary embolism. The symptoms are the same. The context is everything. My marriage had symptoms, and now I had context. The next night shift was a rare, almost holy quiet. The kind of quiet that makes every nurse suspicious. It was 4 a.m, the air thick with the smell of floor wax and the rhythmic beeping of distant monitors. I found Jordan Vega at the EMS charting station, mainlining a Red Bull and scrolling through his phone. Jordan is my work husband, my brother, the only person I trust in a code. He's an EMS tech, which means he can hotwire a defibrillator, navigate Dallas traffic like a stunt driver, and most importantly, he understands the back end of every piece of technology made since 2000. "Vega," I said, sliding onto the stool next to him. "Hypothetical." "My favorite kind," he said, not looking up. "Tachycardic, hypotensive, altered mental status. Go." "Tech," I said. If someone, hypothetically, had all their devices synced on a family cloud account, what could the, primary account holder see? He finally looked up, his eyes sharp. "You mean, what can you see on Nathan's cloud?" I just stared at him. "Tegan, what's wrong?" "I think he's cheating on me." Jordan's face hardened. He closed his phone. "Okay, give me your laptop." We went to the empty residence lounge. He sat down. I logged in, and he took over. He never changed the master password. Did he Jordan muttered. Of course he didn't. Men like Nathan think they're smarter than the system. They forget they are the system. He did not just show me how to look. He showed me how to look without leaving footprints. He opened a synced calendar that I never used. It was Nathan's work calendar, a sea of colored blocks. Chicago, Chicago, Chicago. Jordan read, scrolling. Guy really loves Chicago. He said it was a conference, I whispered. Yeah, well, Jordan's finger stopped. He tapped the screen. Look at this. He had scrolled forward to November, the week of the supposed Chicago trip. The blocks were not labeled Apex Vantage Conference. It was a week-long event. Colored dark blue. Labeled Q4 Strategy, Paris. Maybe the venue changed, I said, my voice weak. Check the invite list, Jordan said, his voice flat. He clicked the event. My breath caught. The list of attendees was brutally short. 1 Nathan Cross, 2 Sloan Pierce. That's his marketing director, I said, the words tasting like ash. That's not all she's directing, Jordan said. He kept digging, moving from the calendar to the synced cloud drive, a digital dumping ground of receipts, photos, and documents. He typed Paris into the search bar. A single PDF popped up. It was not a work document. It was a hotel confirmation. I clicked it. Hôtel de la Rivière Étoilée. My eyes scanned the details. Grand Seine suite with panoramic view. Under the special requests, 1 king bed. High floor. Please include the Romance Champagne for 2 package upon arrival. I felt sick. This was the exact hotel, the exact package. I had bookmarked for our 10th anniversary, the one he said was obscenely expensive and financially irresponsible. Then I scrolled down to the guest information. Guest 1, Mr. N. Pierce. Guest 2, Ms. S. Pierce. Mr. and Ms. Pierce, I read aloud. He was not just taking her. He was giving her my name. He was giving her his name. My God. He was giving her her name. He was sloppy. Tegan, Jordan said, his voice quiet. He pointed to the bottom of the PDF. Look at the payment. Paid in full, I read. Credit card joint signature account, ending in 4211. Our joint card. The one I used for groceries and scrubs. The one I paid the balance on last month. That absolute son of a, Jordan started, but I held up a hand. Keep looking. We moved from the travel folder to one simply labeled House Docs. It was full of boring things: mortgage statements, property tax receipts, warranties, and one new file, uploaded 3 weeks ago. HELOC application, 2025. I opened it. It was a 30-page document for a home equity line of credit, a loan against our house, for $50,000. I scanned through the legal jargon, my eyes hunting for the signature page, and I found it. 2 signatures, side by side, legally attesting to the debt. One was Nathan's, his familiar, arrogant slash. The other was mine. Tegan M. Gray. It was a perfect forgery. He had captured my signature from some other document, probably our mortgage closing papers, and digitized it. It was clean, precise, and completely fraudulent. The document was dated and notarized. I checked my work schedule for that date. I was halfway through a double shift, charting a multi-car pileup. I had not been anywhere near a bank. This was the first real punch. The affair was a betrayal. This was a crime. He was stealing from me. He was stealing my name, my signature, my home. Tegan, Jordan said, his voice urgent. This is police level. You need to call a lawyer. You need to call them now. Not yet, I said. My mind was starting to work. The shock receding. The cold, analytical part of my brain taking over. If I file a report, he gets an alert. He locks me out. He liquidates everything. I'm not giving him the warning. I need to see the whole chart. I checked our joint bank account. Nothing. But then I remembered the small, personal checking account he kept for work expenses. I still had access. I logged in. It was a ledger of his betrayal, all in neat little debits. He was smarter than making one big transfer. He had been bleeding our joint account dry. $1,000 at a time. Small, regular transfers, spaced in days apart. The memos attached were insulting in their banality. Savings, tax prep, investment. It was the Paris Fund. It was the Ms. Pierce Fund. It was the Start Our New Life Fund, financed by the equity in my house and the money from my overtime. I needed air. I needed to see him. I needed to see if I could spot the lie on his face. I met him for dinner the next night at a generic Italian chain we used to go to. He was the perfect husband. He asked about my shift. He feigned sympathy when I told him about a difficult patient. He ordered my favorite wine. He was attentive. He was charming. He was a complete and total stranger. Halfway through the meal, the check came. He reached for his pocket, then patted his jacket. "Ah, damn," he said, giving me a sheepish grin. I must have left my wallet in the car. "I'll be right back." He stood up and walked toward the exit. And my every instinct, every nerve ending honed by years of watching people, screamed, "He's not getting his wallet." "I'm just going to use the restroom," I said to the empty air. Sliding out of the booth, I did not go to the restroom. I followed him. I slipped out the restaurant's side door and cut through the landscaping, staying in the shadows of the parking lot. I saw him get to our SUV, but he did not open the door. He leaned against it, pulled out his phone, and his face was illuminated by the screen. I crept closer, ducking behind a massive Ford F-150 2 spots away. I could hear him. His voice was low, intimate, a voice he had not used with me in years. He was on FaceTime. "I know, baby. I know. It's just a few more weeks," he was whispering. He laughed. "Yes, I promise. I booked the exact suite you wanted, the one with the all-glass bathroom. You'll be able to see the Eiffel Tower from the tub." A pause. My blood was roaring in my ears, but I forced myself to be still. "No, she doesn't suspect a thing," he said, his voice dripping with condescending pity. "She's too tired to notice. Honestly, it's kinder this way. After Paris, we'll tell her. We'll just tell her it's over." I fumbled for my own phone, my hands shaking. I hit record video. I held it up just over the hood of the truck. I could not see his screen, but I could see the reflection of his screen in the car's tinted window behind him. I saw her face, Sloane. She was laughing, holding something up to the camera. They were tickets, 2 of them. And even from this distance, I could see the layout. They were not coaches. They were business-class seats, the lie-flat kind, the kind he had never, not once, bought for me. My diagnosis was complete. This was not a midlife crisis. This was not a simple grubby affair. This was a coup, a meticulously planned, financially calculated, long-term extraction of his life from mine. He was not just leaving me. He was planning to bankrupt me. And he was using Paris, my Paris, as the launch party for his new life. I stopped the recording. I slipped my phone back into my pocket. I did not cry. I did not scream. I just stood there in the dark, my heart beating that same, steady, 82 beats per minute. The patient was diagnosed. The sepsis was systemic. It was time to scrub in and plan the treatment. The human body is resilient until it is not. A person can walk around with an aortic aneurysm, a ticking time bomb in their chest, feeling perfectly fine. They might complain of a little back pain, maybe some indigestion. Then one day, it ruptures, and it is all over in minutes. The affair, the lies, the theft. That was the aneurysm. I was feeling the back pain, but the rupture, the moment the threat became exsanguinating, came from the least expected place, the hospital's human resources department. It was a week later. I was in the fluorescent hell of the HR office during the day, a time I am rarely even awake, to fill out my annual benefits enrollment. I was just ticking boxes, updating beneficiaries, declining the dental plan I never use. Brenda, from payroll, a woman with aggressively lacquered hair, peered at me over her glasses. "Oh, Tegan, glad you're here. I needed to confirm something with you." "Okay," I said. my mind already on the coffee I desperately needed. Your husband, Nathan, called last week to add a new policy rider through our employee spousal program. It's a supplemental travel life insurance policy. Very high value. She tapped on her keyboard. A very high value. We just need your verbal confirmation for our records. Since you're the primary employee. My hand froze over the mouse. A travel policy. She hummed, distracted. Generous, isn't he? It's a $2 million policy. He's got you listed as the primary beneficiary, of course, but he also added a contingent beneficiary, a financial dependent. Is that right? My throat was dry. Who is the dependent? Brenda squinted at the screen. Looks like a Sloan. Sloan Pierce. Does that sound correct? The room went silent. The beige walls seemed to close in. Sloan Pierce, I repeated, my voice sounding distant, like it was coming down a long hallway. Yes, she's listed right here as a financial dependent. Strange classification. But as long as you sign off. I stood up abruptly. The chair screeched on the linoleum. I need to check something at home. Brenda, I'll email you. I drove home in a daze. The Texas sun blinding. A financial dependent. The audacity of the term. The cold. Corporate calculation of it. Made me want to vomit. I tore the house apart. Not in a rage, but with the methodical precision of a search. I started in his office. His desk was immaculate. His files were organized. Too organized. I went to our bedroom, to the antique highboy dresser, where he kept his important papers, old tax returns, warranties, his college diploma. In the very back of the bottom drawer, stuffed beneath a stack of old bank statements, was a thick envelope from a major insurance carrier. It was unopened, but it had been resealed. He had checked the contents and then hidden it. I ripped it open. There it was, a brand new, comprehensive travel insurance policy. Policyholder Nathan Cross, primary beneficiary Tegan Gray spouse, and there, on page 2, under contingent beneficiaries dependents, Sloan Pierce financial dependent, in the event of spousal death on international travel. The policy would pay out $2 million if the primary beneficiary was deceased, or if the primary beneficiary died concurrently with the policyholder, the entire sum would transfer to the contingent. To Sloan. My eyes scanned for the activation date. I compared it to the calendar on my phone. The policy was set to become active on November 1st. Our 10th wedding anniversary was November 3rd. His flight to Paris with Sloan was November 15th. A new, darker scenario began to play out in my head. This was not just a plan to leave me. This was a plan with a contingency, a very profitable contingency. What if the Paris trip was not originally for Sloan? What if the reunion trip, our 10th anniversary makeup trip, was meant for me? What if I was supposed to have a tragic accident on a romantic getaway, a fall into the Seine, an allergic reaction to French food, a simple, untraceable slip in that all-glass shower, and if I died, Nathan, the grieving widower, would be $2 million richer, and his financial dependent, Sloan, would be right there to comfort him, or if something went wrong and he died with me, she would get it all anyway. He had prepared a financial escape route, paved with my life insurance. The blood in my veins turned to ice, the hurt, the sadness, the humiliation of being cheated on, all of it evaporated. It was replaced by something else, a cold, hard, reptilian survival instinct. He was not just an adulterer. He was not just a thief. He was a man who looked at his wife of 10 years and saw a payout. I immediately went to Jordan. I found him in the ambulance bay, cleaning a backboard. I did not say a word. I just handed him the policy. He read it. He read it again. His face went pale under his tan. Tegan, this is not a divorce. This is a potential homicide investigation. But it's not, I said, my voice shaking but firm. It's all conjecture. It's all, what if? He hasn't done anything. If I go to the police right now, what do I say? My husband bought an insurance policy and his girlfriend's name is on it. They'll laugh me out of the station, and the second they call him for a friendly chat, he knows. He scrubs the cloud. He empties the accounts. He destroys the evidence. He'll walk away clean. And I'll be the crazy, hysterical wife. Jordan slammed the ambulance door shut. So what do we do? You can't stay in that house. I'm not running, either. You need to be smarter than him, Jordan said, thinking. You need to protect yourself, digitally. He pulled out his phone. I know someone. Her name is Maya. She's my ex. But she's a genius, a white hat hacker. She does cybersecurity for one of those billion-dollar banks. She will make you a ghost in a fortress. He made the call. That night, at another 24-hour diner, I met Maya. She was the opposite of Jordan. Quiet, intense, with eyes that seemed to be reading the code behind my words. I laid everything out, the fake HELOC, the bank transfers, the voicemail, and now, the insurance policy. She just listened, sipping her black coffee. When I finished, she nodded once. Okay, he's sloppy. Arrogant men always are. They use their real names. They use their girlfriend's real names. They think they're the main character. For the next 3 hours, she turned my laptop into a weapon. She created a completely secure, encrypted, off-site data repository. She set up a series of dead man's switches automated email triggers. If I failed to log into a specific, hidden portal every 12 hours, that entire repository of evidence, the HELOC, the bank statements, the audio of his phone call, the insurance policy, the Paris hotel reservation would be automatically sent to the Dallas police, the FBI's white-collar crime division, the board of directors at Apex Vantage, and a private list of journalists. If he hurts you, Maya said, her voice devoid of emotion, his entire life will be torched before your body is cold. This is your insurance policy. The fear was still there. It was a low, cold vibration in my bones, but it was being overshadowed by a profound, freezing rage. I am a nurse. My entire life, my entire identity, is built on preserving life. I have broken my own ribs doing compressions to keep a heart beating. I have held the hands of dying strangers. I have fought, tooth and nail, for every single breath, every single heartbeat, for people I do not even know, and this man, my husband, had reduced my life to a number on an actuarial table. A $2 million problem to be solved. I swore to myself, sitting in that diner, that this would not end in a quiet, mediated divorce. It would not end with me getting my half while he and Sloan started over. His mask, his carefully crafted facade of the successful, brilliant, loving husband, had to be ripped off, and it had to happen in the one place on earth he believed he was untouchable. He wanted to debut his new life in Paris Fine. I would give him a premiere. I set my own golden rule, my triage. I would not do anything to harm anyone physically. I would not, under any circumstances, involve children or innocents. My fight was not even with Sloan. She was a symptom, not the disease. My target was him, only him. I would not use a scalpel to cause a wound. I would use it to perform an excision, a clean, precise, and total removal of the cancer he had become in my life. And I would do it on my terms, on my timeline. The stage was set. He just did not know he was the star of a tragedy. I had my tech support, and I had my digital fortress. Now I needed artillery. My fear had been replaced by a chilling clarity, but I knew my limits. I could suture an artery, but I could not navigate the Texas legal code. I pulled my car over, sat in the dark on the side of a Dallas service road, and made the call I had not made in 5 years. Harper Quinn. Her voice was exactly as I remembered, sharp, fast, and sounding expensive even through the phone. Harper, it's Tegan. Tegan Gray. A beat of silence. Holy hell. Gray, I haven't heard from you since the bar exam party. I heard you married that finance guy, Nathan. I did, I said, and I think he's trying to kill me. I'll be at the 24-hour diner on Kirby in 3 hours, she said, and hung up. I drove the 240 miles to Houston. I did not stop for coffee. I did not turn on the radio. I just drove. my laptop bag sitting on the passenger seat like a ticking bomb. Harper was already in a booth when I arrived. The diner smelled like burnt coffee and old frying oil. It was 3 in the morning, the same time I'd usually be doing my midnight charting. But it felt like a different universe. Harper looked like she owned the place. She was in a perfectly tailored pantsuit, even at this hour. Her red hair pulled back so tightly it looked painful. She was a shark, and this was her ocean. I did not ease into it. I sat down, opened my laptop, turned it to face her, and slid the insurance policy across the table. I did not cry. I did not rage. I gave her the data, just as I would give a report to a doctor. The patient is a 38-year-old male, my husband, presenting with adultery, confirmed by audio, video, and travel receipts, further complicated by forgery of my signature on a $50,000 home equity line of credit, confirmed by bank records and my work schedule, further complicated by systematic misappropriation of community funds into a secret account, and the primary, critical symptom this $2 million travel insurance policy, listing the mistress as contingent beneficiary, activated 2 weeks before a planned trip to Paris. Harper did not offer condolences. She did not say, "I'm so sorry." She just put on a pair of reading glasses, picked up the policy, and started to read. She read every line. Then she turned to the laptop and read the bank statements. She read the HELOC application. She listened to the audio file of Nathan in the parking lot. Her head tilted, just listening. When it was all done, she took off her glasses and folded her hands. "Okay, Tegan," she said, her voice dropping into a low, professional monotone. "Here is your diagnosis. This is not a divorce. This is a corporate dissolution with extreme prejudice." She started ticking points off on her fingers. 1 adultery. In Texas. This matters. It gives you leverage in the division of assets. It's our emotional leverage. 2 fraud. The HELOC. That is a clear, indictable felony. He didn't just forge your name. He forged it on a legal banking document and had it notarized. That notary is liable. The bank is liable. And he is criminally liable. This is our hammer. 3 misappropriation. The secret account, the tickets, the hotel, all paid for from joint funds. That is fraudulent conveyance. We can claw back every single cent. We will leave him with nothing but the expensive underwear he bought. 4, she said, tapping the insurance policy. This is the dark one, on its own. It's just a bad taste policy. But combined with the forged HELOC, the secret bank account, and the trip no prosecutor would call it a coincidence, this is clear-cut evidence of intent. We may not be able to prove conspiracy to murder, but we can absolutely prove conspiracy to commit insurance fraud. She leaned back. He's a CFO. You said Apex Vantage. He holds a fiduciary license. He is bonded. This, she tapped the HELOC scan. This one document, sent to the Texas State Board of Public Accountancy, will get his license suspended before he even lands in Paris. He won't be able to legally manage a high school bake sale, let alone a multi-million-dollar tech company. He is finished. I absorbed this. Finished. It was a good word. Then, a memory surfaced. A loose thread. "Harper," I said. "There's something else. It's probably nothing, but at the company Christmas party, he was bragging. He was drunk, telling some investor how he optimized the cash flow for Q3. He mentioned a federal grant. A research grant. He said Apex Vantage got it because I helped with the clinical consultation." Harper's eyes narrowed. "You helped?" "I've never consulted on anything. I'm an ER nurse. I remember him laughing and saying, 'Thank God my wife's a nurse. It really greased the wheels with the NIH. Harper sat up straight. "The NIH? The National Institutes of Health, Tegan. That's federal money." I pulled out my phone and called Maya. It was almost 5 in the morning now. She picked up on the first ring. "Maya," I said, "I need you to look in the cloud again. I need anything related to a grant. Specifically, the NIH. Look for my name. Look for clinical advisor or consultant. Look for my signature." I put the phone on speaker. We waited. The only sound was the clatter of plates from the kitchen. 10 minutes passed. "Oh, you son of a bitch," Maya's voice suddenly crackled over the speaker. "I've got it. It's a $3 million federal grant application for AI-driven diagnostic tools in emergency medicine. It's massive. And yep, page 24, Appendix B. Clinical Consultant Attestation, your full name, Tegan Gray, RN, BSN, and your electronic signature, pasted right onto the line." My blood ran cold. He had not just faked my signature on our house. He had faked it on a federal document. Harper actually smiled. It was a terrifying sight. "That's it," she said. "That is the kill shot. He didn't just commit bank fraud. He committed wire fraud and identity theft against the United States government. He falsified a federal application. Apex Vantage is now liable for $3 million in penalties." Harper's entire demeanor changed. She was no longer a lawyer. She was a general. "Okay, new plan. We are not filing a simple divorce. We are staging a hostile takeover of your life. He's going to Paris when 10 days. 10 days, I confirmed. Good. He thinks he's untouchable there. He thinks he's 7 time zones away from consequences. He's wrong. That's the most vulnerable place he could possibly be." She began to sketch on a napkin, her movements fast and precise. "We are going to build what I call the Paris Protocol, a precise timed execution." This was her plan. It was brutal. "The day he flies," she explained, "while he is in the air, in that metal tube, with no Wi-Fi. Maya will execute Phase 1, an anonymous whistleblower package, containing only the fraudulent NIH grant and the forged signature, will be delivered to the entire board of directors at Apex Vantage and to their outside counsel." "The board," Harper said, her eyes gleaming, "will not care about his affair, but they will care about the SEC and the FBI. They will care about losing $3 million. They will move to protect the company, which means protecting themselves. They will convene an emergency meeting before his plane even touches down at Charles de Gaulle. He will land," she continued, "and the first thing he'll do is turn on his phone. But he won't get love notes from Sloan. He will get a flood of panicked emails from his CEO. He will find his corporate cards are shut off, his access to the company servers, his email, his accounts all revoked. He will be financially castrated, in a foreign country, with no resources." That was the protocol. That was the setup. And the final step, the climax. "You will serve him," Harper said. "You will serve him with the divorce papers, the temporary restraining order freezing all assets, and a full, itemized list of every crime we've uncovered. And you will do it right there, in his 5-star suite, in front of his mistress." I nodded. It was perfect. "One more thing," Harper said, tapping her pen. "Who does he fear? Not you, not me. Who is he genuinely terrified of disappointing?" The answer was instant. His parents, Richard and Elaine, their old money Dallas, all about reputation. He's their golden boy. The idea of them knowing he's a failure would destroy him. "Excellent," Harper said, writing their names on the napkin. "They're in. They are our audience. We'll get them on a video call. When he is at his most vulnerable, he needs to see their faces." I agreed to everything. He wanted to use Paris as his grand stage, his debutante ball for his new life. Fine, I would be his director. But this was not a romance. It was a public execution, and the audience would not be investors. It would be his board, his family, and every legal body with the power to pull the chairs out from under him. The morning of his flight, I staged a masterpiece of American domesticity. I invited Richard and Elaine, his parents, over for a farewell to Paris breakfast. I was up at 6, before the sun, playing the part of the devoted wife. Our kitchen, the scene of my late-night plotting, was transformed. It smelled of maple syrup, butter, and freshly brewed coffee. I made pancakes from scratch, the fluffy kind. I had thick-cut bacon sizzling in the oven and a pitcher of fresh-squeezed orange juice on the quartz island. When they arrived, I was in a cheerful yellow sundress, an apron tied neatly around my waist, my smile bright and brittle. Nathan, bless his heart, was playing his part just as enthusiastically. He was the successful, globe-trotting CFO, the good son, the doting husband. He wore his expensive travel blazer and talked animatedly about the opportunities in Paris. "It's really the next frontier for Apex Vantage," he said, pouring syrup liberally over his stack of pancakes. "The European market is completely untapped for our diagnostic AI. This conference isn't just a meet and greet. It's about securing our foothold for the next decade." "It just sounds so exciting, dear," Elaine said, dabbing her lips with a napkin. She looked at me, her smile tightening just a fraction. "Tegan, it's such a shame you're not going with him. Paris, of all places." I heard my cue. I looked up from my plate, forcing a look of weary resignation. "Oh, I know. I'm just sick about it," Nathan jumped in, right on script. "I told her to come, Mom. I really did. But you know the hospital. They're desperately short-staffed. And," he added, giving me a patronizing pat on the hand, "you know how she feels about long flights. She gets so anxious." I nodded, swallowing the golf ball of rage that had just lodged in my throat. I even managed a small, sad laugh. "He's right. I'm a terrible flyer. I'd just be a nervous wreck. It's better this way. I'll hold down the fort here." Richard, a man who only spoke in financial terms, nodded in approval. "A smart decision. A distracted executive is an inefficient executive. Your support on the home front is crucial. Tegan, I just want him to be successful," I said, my gaze meeting Nathan's. "That's all that matters." He smiled, that broad, handsome, empty smile. After we cleared the plates, I brought out my gift. "I know you have your fancy carry-on," I said, handing him a small, elegantly wrapped box. "But I saw this and thought of you." He opened it. It was a beautiful dark brown leather travel wallet, the kind with RFID blocking. "Wow, T," he said, genuinely pleased. "This is really nice." "It's practical," I said, my voice light and teasing. "It's one of those anti-theft ones, and it has a special pocket." I pointed to a small, hidden slit inside the cash fold. "I put a little tracker tile in there. You know, just in case you forget it in a cab or at the hotel bar, like you did in Boston last year." He chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck in mock embarrassment. "You know me too well, always thinking, that's my girl." He kissed my forehead. I smiled. "I just want to make sure you and the wallet are always safe." He had no idea the AirTag was already synced to my phone, its icon pulsing patiently on a map, ready to follow his every move from the airport curb to the door of the Hôtel de la Rivière Étoilée. An hour later, Richard and Nathan were downstairs, loading his Toomey luggage into the trunk of their car for the drive to DFW. Elaine lingered at the top of the stairs, ostensibly to give me a hug. Her smile was gone. Her face was etched with a patrician concern. "Tegan," she said, her voice low and conspiratorial, "is everything all right with you two?" I feigned confusion. "What do you mean?" "Elaine, everything's fine." She sighed, a frustrated, impatient sound. "Please, dear, don't play games with me. Nathan, he's spoken to us. He said things have been difficult lately, that the marriage is under a great deal of strain. He said he might be well. He said he might be asking for a separation after this trip." Ah, so that was his play. He was pre-poisoning the well, painting me as the difficult, strained wife, so that when the divorce came, his family would nod in sympathy. He was already writing the narrative, with him as the reluctant, heartbroken victim. I looked into her eyes. I saw no sympathy for me. I saw only a fierce, protective anxiety for her son and her family's reputation. She was not here to save me. She was here to do damage control for him. "Strain," I repeated, letting the word hang in the air. "Yes, it has been a strain." "I just hope you won't be difficult, Tegan," she said, her voice hardening. "These things are always so messy. Nathan has his career to think of, his reputation. We would hope for a civilized process. I held her gaze. I did not cry. I did not yell. I did not plead my case. Elaine, I said calmly, wait here. I walked into our home office, opened my laptop, and pulled up a single file, an email. I did not print it. I just turned the laptop around and carried it back to her. She squinted at the screen. It was an email from Nathan's personal account to Sloane's. The subject line was, "The Future." I watched her read the body of the text. Sloane, it read, "You just have to be patient for a few more weeks. Paris will be the moment we finally cut ties with the past. I am handling the last of the financial arrangements now. After this trip, I can finally free us both. This is our beginning." Elaine read it 3 times. Her manicured hand, the one with the massive diamond, went to her throat. Her face went from pale to a mottled, angry red. The words were just ambiguous enough to be deniable in a court, but to a mother and to a wife, they were a confession. Free us both. Cut ties with the past. She understood. "Who is Sloane?" she whispered, though the email signature from the marketing director made it obvious. "His colleague," I said, my voice flat. "The one he's in Paris with right now. The one he's taking on our 10th anniversary trip." She looked at me, her eyes wide with a new, horrifying understanding. This was not a civilized separation. This was a sordid, classic, middle-aged cliché. And it was happening to her family. "He's a fool," she breathed, her voice shaking with a cold fury I had never heard from her. A complete and utter fool, to risk everything. "Elaine," I said, gently closing the laptop, "I am not going to be difficult. I am going to be precise. I am handling this. I don't need you to be on my side. I just need you not to stand in my way. I need you not to call him. Do not warn him." She looked at me, her pride and her shame warring in her eyes. The shame won. She was not my ally because she loved me. She was my ally because her son had brought this humiliation to her doorstep, and she would not, could not, abide by it. She just nodded once, a sharp, jerky motion. "He made this bed," she said, her voice like ice. "He can lie in it." She turned and walked down the stairs without another word. At the airport, I was the perfect wife again. I stood with him in the bustling international terminal. I fussed with his collar. I reminded him to drink water on the flight. When they called his gate for boarding, I pulled him into a hug. I held him for a long moment, feeling the solidness of his shoulders, the scratch of his blazer, the scent of his cologne. I felt absolutely nothing. It was like holding a well-dressed anatomical dummy. "Have a successful trip, Nathan," I whispered, pulling back. I kissed him on the cheek. His skin was warm. "I'll see you when you get back." "I love you, T," he said, his eyes already focused on the priority boarding lane. "I know," I said. I watched him walk away. I watched him scan his business class ticket, give the agent his charming smile, and disappear down the jet bridge. I stood there until he was gone. My phone vibrated in my pocket, a notification from the airline app. "Your flight has departed." I turned and walked out of the terminal, the automatic doors sliding shut behind me. "Fly safe, Nathan," I whispered to the empty air. "I'll meet you at another gate." The silence in the townhouse was deafening. It was the first time in 10 years I was alone in this house, and it felt clean. I walked straight to the back of my closet, past the rows of gray scrubs that defined my life, and pulled out the black carry-on. I packed it 3 days ago. There were no silk dresses for the Seine, no high heels for Michelin-starred restaurants. My valise contained my new uniform, one clean laptop, one burner laptop synced to Maya's network, 3 encrypted hard drives, a waterproof legal folder containing certified copies of every document Harper deemed non-negotiable, 4 black tops, 2 pairs of dark trousers, and the most comfortable walking shoes I owned. This was not a vacation bag, it was a go bag. I sat back down at my own kitchen laptop. I logged into the airline website, not with my account, but with our shared family account. Nathan loved to brag about his platinum medallion status, how he gamed the system on points. He had amassed over 400,000 miles, mostly on corporate trips he got reimbursed for. He just never bothered to check who had access to them. He never bothered to check if I had been moved from spouse to account manager. I booked 2 last-minute tickets in comfort, DFW to CDG, departure the following day, one for me, one for Jordan Vega. He had refused to let me go alone. "I'm not letting you confront that psychopath in a foreign country by yourself," he'd said, his voice flat. "I don't trust him. I've seen what men like him do when they're cornered. Besides," he added, his usual sarcasm returning, "this is going to be a historic moment. Someone needs to be your bodyguard and your cameraman." 24 hours later, I was buckled into seat 24B. Jordan was in 24C, already asleep, headphones on, his mouth slightly open. He could sleep through a mass casualty event. My flight was cheaper, less direct, and a full day behind Nathan's. Harper, true to her word, had been busy. While I was packing, she was on a video call, all business. "I'm tied up in Houston with this class action," she'd explained. "So I'm handing you off to our Paris affiliate. His name is Antoine Dubois. He's a shark, just a French one. He is arranging for a huissier de justice, that's their official term for a legal process server, and they have more power than ours. He will serve the papers. Maya has already securely transmitted the entire digital file to Antoine's office. He's ready for you." The cabin lights dimmed. I should have been terrified. I was terrified. My stomach was a knot of ice, but underneath it, there was a sharp, unfamiliar hum. It was adrenaline, but not the ER kind. This was not the frantic panic of trying to save a life. It was the cold, vibrating focus of taking mine back. I could not sleep. I opened my laptop. The screen dimmed to its lowest setting. I opened a blank document. I started typing, drafting the script for the hotel. "Nathan, you are a liar and a thief." I deleted it. Too emotional. "Welcome to your performance review. You failed. Too glib." I tried again. "We are here to discuss the terms of your exit. The following is a non-negotiable list of your fraudulent activities." I wrote and rewrote the words, editing them like I was charting a complex patient case, ensuring every observation was factual, objective, and devastating. I closed my eyes, but all I could see was their flight, the one that had landed 12 hours earlier. I pictured them in those roomy business-class pods, the ones he always said were a waste of company money when I asked to be upgraded on our one trip to Chicago. I saw the flight attendant pouring them champagne before takeoff. I saw Sloane, angling her phone just so, taking a picture of her champagne flute, the curve of the lie-flat seat visible, the lights of Paris blurred out the window. The caption would be something breathless and vague. "When work takes you to Paris." She would be careful. She would tag the airline, not the man. I took a deep breath. I paid the ridiculous $30 fee for the transatlantic Wi-Fi. The connection was slow, agonizingly slow, but it was stable. It was time to launch the missiles. I logged into the secure email service Maya had built for me. The drafts were all there, loaded and waiting. Email 1. The anonymous whistleblower dossier. To the entire board of directors at Apex Vantage Diagnostics, plus their general counsel. Subject: urgent fiduciary and federal compliance violation by CFO Nathan Cross. Attachment: the forged NIH grant application, the forged HELOC. I scheduled it to be sent at 8 a.m. Paris time, right when their day was starting, right when Nathan would be fast asleep, jet-lagged and arrogant in his suite. Email 2. The detailed report, to the lead investigator at the insurance carrier's special fraud unit, a man Harper had already vetted. Subject: formal allegation of fraudulent policy application and conspiracy. Attachment: the policy itself, the bank statements proving he paid for it, the Paris travel itinerary, and the audio file of him mentioning handling me. Email 3. The final package. To Antoine Dubois, my new French lawyer. Subject confirmed. Client in transit. Assets ready for seizure. Attachment: the complete file, authorizing him to act on my behalf. I hit schedule send on all 3. The wheels were in motion. There was no going back. My watch vibrated. A text from Maya. Sent from Texas. He's logged in. Hotel Wi-Fi is wide open. Sloppy. I'm inside his laptop. Cloning his drive as we speak. Go to sleep. Tegan, I've got the night shift. I closed my laptop, the sense of finality washing over me. Jordan stirred next to me, blinking in the dim light. He looked at the thick legal folder on my tray table, then at my tiny carry-on at my feet. He shook his head, a sleepy grin on his face. You know, he whispered, you are the only person I know who flies to Paris for the first time carrying more notarized divorce papers than underwear. A sound escaped my throat. It was rusty, but it was a laugh, a real, actual laugh. It felt good. Shut up, Vega. I packed underwear. I'm just saying, he shrugged. This is the most expensive, elaborate process in legal history. I am honored to be the cameraman. Hours later, the captain's voice came over the intercom, announcing our initial descent into Charles de Gaulle. The cabin lights came up. I leaned over Jordan to look out the window. Below us, the suburbs of Paris were just waking up, and then, the city itself a sprawling, glittering constellation of lights. The Eiffel Tower a tiny pinprick in the center. It was beautiful, even from here. I finally made it. I took a deep breath, the stale cabin air filling my lungs. I was not here for the croissants. I was not here for the Louvre. I was here to scrub in. I was here to debride a wound. I was here to surgically and cleanly excise the tumor that my marriage had become. Nathan and Sloane would have landed at 7 a.m, Paris time. While they were sitting in traffic in their chauffeured car, giddy and jet-lagged, I was at my own gate, watching the whistleblower emails to the Apex Vantage board switch from scheduled to sent. By the time Jordan and I landed, cleared customs, and took the train into the city, it was early afternoon. We did not go to the Hôtel de la Rivière Étoilée. We checked into a drab, serviceable hotel in the 5th arrondissement, a place with clean sheets and zero charm. It was perfect. I dropped my bag, changed my shirt, and we walked. We walked across the river, straight into the lion's den. I had already laid the groundwork. 2 days prior, I had sent a carefully worded, anonymous email to the general manager of the Hôtel de la Rivière Étoilée, not as a wife, but as a concerned colleague from Apex Vantage. I warned him that a VIP guest, Mr. Nathan Cross, was arriving and was currently in a sensitive domestic dispute, and that his legal wife, Tegan Gray, was unstable. I suggested that for his own privacy, he might deny his marital status, and that the staff should be discreet. It was a beautiful piece of reverse psychology. It achieved 2 things. It planted my name firmly in the hotel system, and it framed Nathan as the one who would be lying. Jordan and I were sitting in the hotel's opulent, gold-leafed bar, nursing 2 9-euro coffees, when I saw them, right on time. My phone buzzed with the AirTag notification. Nathan Cross has arrived. I watched them walk in. Sloane was radiant, looking every bit the part of the sophisticated mistress. Nathan was in his element, breathing in the expensive air, his hand possessively on the small of her back. They approached the desk. From where I sat, I could not hear, but I did not need to. I had already pictured this moment 1,000 times. The impeccably dressed concierge would be looking at his screen, where my anonymous tip had no doubt been flagged. Nathan would say, "Reservation for Cross." The concierge would look at his notes, then at Nathan, his smile just a fraction too bright, a little too knowing. "Ah, oui, Monsieur Cross. And for your guest?" "My partner, Ms. Pierce," Nathan would say. "Of course," the concierge would say, tapping his keyboard, and then the line I had scripted for him. "My apologies, Monsieur. Our reservation system seems to be stubborn. It still insists on listing a Mrs. Tegan Gray as the legal spouse on the account. These database errors are so frustrating. My apologies. Madame," he would say, looking at Sloane. I watched, from across the lobby, as Sloane's smile froze. I saw her head snap to look at the concierge's monitor. I saw her brow furrow. I saw Nathan laugh it off. waving his hand dismissively. An old airline sync error. I could almost hear him say, "My ex-wife. It's a complicated divorce. The systems just haven't caught up." The concierge would just smile that professional smile. "But of course, monsieur, here are your keys to the Grand Seine suite. And this," he would say, gesturing to the large courier box that had been delivered that morning, the one I had sent. "This arrived from Mr. Nathan Cross Guest. It is marked confidential." Nathan would nod, assuming it was from the conference. He would take the keys, put his arm back around Sloane, and steer her toward the elevator, his charm working overtime to cover the tiny fissure that had just appeared. Jordan sipped his coffee. "She's rattled." "She's about to be," I said. We waited. We watched the elevator doors close. In that suite, I knew what they were seeing: the roses, the river, the champagne, the grand romantic gesture. Sloane would be squealing, running to the window, phone in hand. Nathan would be pouring the champagne, feeling like a king, and then Sloane would see it. Not the big, imposing courier box, which Nathan would have dismissed as work. She would see the other one. The one I had a Parisian messenger hand-deliver an hour after my colleague email. A single, thin, cream-colored envelope, resting on the desk. Her name was not on it, but it was not sealed. It was just tucked. She would be curious. She would think it was from the hotel. On the front, in sharp, black, handwritten script, "Congratulations on escaping the Central Time Zone. A few other legal time zones will be updating you shortly." Sloane would open it. She would open it before Nathan even saw it. Inside, there was no letter, just a single piece of paper, a color-copied page from the $2 million insurance policy. I had taken a highlighter, a bright, fluorescent yellow, and marked one line. Just one. Contingent beneficiary. Sloane Pierce, financial dependent, to receive full payout in the event of spousal death during international travel. I could picture the scene, her reading it, her brow furrowing in confusion. Nathan. "What is this?" He would turn, champagne in hand. He would see the paper. His blood would run cold. He would move too fast, snatching it from her hand. "It's nothing," he would say. "It's just routine financial planning. My assistant must have misunderstood." But the lie would be clumsy, panicked. "Spousal death, Nathan. Why is my name on an insurance policy for your wife?" The doubt, which had been a tiny seed in the lobby, would begin to sprout. She would be remembering all the other little lies he had told her. "My wife and I are separated. The papers are already signed. She's emotionally unstable. Our marriage has been over for years." But the hotel computer had said, "Spouse Tegan Gray," and this document said, "Spousal death." The champagne would remain unpoured. The mood in that beautiful, expensive room would turn ugly. An hour later, Jordan and I saw them walk through the lobby. They were not holding hands. Nathan was in the lead, walking fast. Sloane was 2 steps behind him, her arms crossed, her face pale and angry. They were not talking, but the air around them was vibrating with a low-grade, furious argument. They disappeared out the front doors, likely to some tense, silent dinner. "Well," Jordan said, putting down his empty cup, "that's a good start." My phone buzzed. It was a text from Antoine, the French lawyer. My heart sank as I read it. "Madame Gray, there is a complication. Serving a legal summons inside a private hotel suite, against the guest's will, is not simple under French law. We risk an incident, and the hotel will claim trespassing. We need the full, active cooperation of hotel management, or we must wait for him to leave the building." I swore under my breath. "He'll just hide, Jordan. He'll get the emails from the board. He'll be terrified, and he'll just lock himself in that suite. We'll never get to him." "So we wait for him to come out," Jordan said. "No," I said, my mind racing. "We don't have time. He'll lawyer up. He'll transfer the money." I looked around the lobby, frustrated, my eyes scanning for anything, an answer, and I found it, on a sleek glass table by the concierge desk. There was a stack of glossy in-house magazines, the hotel's own publication, Riviere Group International Business Today. The cover story: a new era of wellness. Riviere Group partners with U.S. tech giant for digital health initiative. I felt a jolt. I walked over, my heels sinking into the plush carpet, and picked one up. I flipped it open to the cover story, and there he was, a full-page photo of Nathan, smiling his handsome CFO smile, shaking hands with a silver-haired man identified as Jean-Luc Dubois, the CEO of the entire Riviere Hotel Group. I read the article, my hands starting to shake, but not with fear, with adrenaline. The partnership was with Apex Vantage. The deal was to integrate Apex's new AI diagnostic platform into the hotel's exclusive executive wellness spas. And who was quoted, multiple times, as the financial architect of the deal? Nathan Cross, CFO, Apex Vantage. I walked back to Jordan, holding the magazine open. He looked at the picture, then at me. I don't get it. Antoine needs the hotel's cooperation, right? I said, a slow smile spreading across my face. He needs the general manager to open the door for us. Well, I'm about to give him a very, very good reason to. I took out my phone and started a new email to the general manager. Subject: urgent. Your partner in room 801. Jean-Luc Dubois, the CEO of this entire hotel chain, just staked his new wellness initiative on a man who is actively committing federal grant fraud. I explained to Jordan, a man who took out a fraudulent $2 million insurance policy in a potential conspiracy to kill his wife, a wife who happens to be a registered nurse. How healthy do you think that partnership is going to look to their board of directors or to the press? Jordan's eyes went wide. Oh, my God. Tegan, I'm not just a scorned wife staying in a cheap hotel anymore, I said, hitting send. I'm a significant and immediate risk to his multi-million-dollar European deal. I'm a compliance nightmare. They're not just going to cooperate, Tegan, Jordan said, a look of awe on his face. They're going to hand you the keys. The response to my email was almost immediate. It came not as a reply, but as a phone call, patched through to my cheap hotel room from the front desk. The general manager of the Hôtel de la Rivière Étoilée, a man named Pierre Rousseau, requested my presence, immediately. Jordan and I did not walk through the grand lobby this time. A subdued employee met us at a service entrance and escorted us to a small, gray, windowless office backstage, far from the polished marble and lilies. Rousseau was there, his face pale, the glossy magazine featuring Nathan's face sitting on his desk like an indictment. He was a man drowning in corporate pragmatism. Madam Gray, he began, foregoing any pleasantries. Your email, it is alarming. It's factual, I said. I placed a single file on his desk, a copy of the forged NIH grant application. That is a $3 million federal fraud. Your hotel group is launching a multi-million euro partnership with the man who signed it. He is the face of your deal. He is also, at this moment, under internal investigation by his own board of directors for that fraud, and under external investigation for a $2 million insurance policy he took out on me before this trip. I let the numbers hang in the air. 3 million, 2 million. I am not just an angry wife, Monsieur Rousseau, I said, my voice quiet and cold. I am a material witness in a federal case. The press will not care about the distinction between Apex Vantage and Riviere Group. They will just see your CEO shaking hands with a criminal. You are now exposed. Your partnership is toxic. He did not argue. He just ran a hand over his face. What do you want? I am serving him his divorce papers, along with a notice of his immediate suspension from Apex Vantage. My lawyer tried to do it, but your staff cited privacy. That privacy is now void. I need a room. I need you to get him into that room, and I need your security to be present when you do. He nodded. The decision made. This was no longer a domestic issue. It was risk management. We have a private meeting room, the Salon Lumière. It is soundproof. He was already typing on his computer. Tomorrow, 10 o'clock in the morning, we will tell him it is an emergency meeting with our investors. An urgent pitch. He will come. He will not be able to refuse. He'll come? I agreed. Thank you for your cooperation. This is not cooperation, madame, he said, not looking at me. This is containment. Please, be swift. We left. Back out the service door. Stage 1 was set. Stage 2 required the audience. Back in my own room. The adrenaline started to wane, so I set up my laptop. It was just after 9 p.m. in Paris, mid-afternoon in Dallas. I initiated the video call. Their faces materialized, sitting close together on their perfect beige sofa in Highland Park. Richard and Elaine Cross. They looked impatient. Tegan, Richard began, his voice gruff. Elaine said this was an emergency. We are rather busy. I know, I said. I'm in Paris. That shut them up. Their expressions changed from annoyance to sharp confusion. I am here because Nathan is not at a conference, I said, adopting the flat, clinical tone I use to deliver bad news. He is here with his mistress, Sloane Pierce, in a suite he paid for by forging my signature on a $50,000 line of credit against our house. Elaine gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Richard's face went rigid. I was not finished. He also used my name and credentials to falsify a $3 million federal grant application for Apex Vantage, and 3 weeks ago, he took out a $2 million travel life insurance policy on me, listing Sloane Pierce as the secondary beneficiary in the event of my death. I let the facts land, one by one, like strikes from a hammer. I watched a decade of pride crumble. Richard looked like he could not breathe. He was not seeing his son. He was seeing SEC violations, jail time, the end of the Cross family name. Elaine was the one who surprised me. The anger I saw at the airport had been replaced by a deep, shattering grief. She just put her head in her hands and began to sob. The quiet, dignified sobs of a woman whose world has just ended. The family pictures on the mantelpiece behind her seemed to mock them. I am confronting him tomorrow morning, I said. Harper advised me to have witnesses. He fears you more than he fears me. He needs to see your face when his life ends. I need you on this call at 3 a.m. Your time. Richard looked up, his eyes bloodshot, his voice a gravelly whisper. That grants Tegan. Are you certain federal fraud? I have the documents, I said. Elaine raised her head. Her makeup was ruined. Her eyes were no longer grieving. They were ice. We will be there, she said, her voice shaking but absolute. You just open the camera. I closed the laptop. The crew was set. The audience was confirmed. And then, the final, unexpected piece fell into my lap. My burner phone buzzed. A message from an anonymous Instagram account. The profile picture was a default gray icon. The message was simple. Are you Tegan Gray, the ER nurse from Dallas Mercy? My blood chilled. Who is this? The reply came instantly. My name is Sloane. Sloane Pierce. I'm in room 801 at the Riviera. I think we need to talk. I think I'm a victim, too. I agreed to meet her. We chose a neutral location, a small patisserie on a side street, equidistant from our hotels. I had Jordan wait across the street. She was already there, huddled in a corner, wearing sunglasses indoors. She was pale, shaking, and looked nothing like the confident marketing director I had seen. She looked like a child. The moment I sat down, she burst into tears. He told me you were his ex-wife, she choked out, her words tumbling over each other. He told me the divorce was finalized months ago. He said you were unstable, that you were deeply depressed and emotionally abusive. He said he was protecting you by keeping it quiet, that he was protecting me from you. He had inverted the entire narrative. He had painted me as the villain, himself as the noble, suffering savior. Then I saw that paper, she whispered, her hands trembling. The insurance policy. Spousal death. It terrified me. I Googled you. Tegan Gray, Dallas. She pulled out her phone and slid it across the table. On the screen was my Instagram profile. She had scrolled back, years back, to a post from 5 years ago. It was a blurry selfie of me, exhausted in my scrubs, standing next to a patient in a hospital bed. The patient was giving a weak thumbs up. The patient was Sloan. "I was in a car crash," she said, her voice hollow. "A bad one. On the tollway. You were my nurse. You were the only one who was kind to me. I was terrified. And you held my hand. You stayed 2 hours past your shift to explain what was happening. I will never forget your face." She looked up at me, her eyes wrecked with realization. "He's been lying about everything. He didn't just lie about you being his ex-wife. He lied about who you are." I looked at this woman, the woman who had been sleeping with my husband, the woman who had laughed at his jokes and held his arm, and I felt nothing. The anger was gone. It was just a diagnosis. She did not have the disease. She was a symptom, a complication. I pushed the napkin dispenser toward her. "He played us both," I said. "He used me for my signature and my paycheck. He used you for his ego and his exit plan. What do I do?" she wept. "He's my boss. He'll destroy my career." "He's not your boss anymore," I said. "He just doesn't know it yet. I'm ending this, tomorrow morning, and you have a choice. You can go down with him as his co-conspirator, because your name is on that insurance policy, Sloan, or you can help me." Her head snapped up. "Help you? I need him in a room at 10 a.m. He thinks it's an investor meeting. He's probably desperate to make things right with you after your fight. He will believe you. I need you to make sure he is in that chair." "Why should I?" "Because," I said, leaning in. "My lawyer in Houston is named Harper Quinn. She is a shark, right now. You look guilty. You help me. You provide a formal written statement of how he lied to you, and Harper will ensure that the board, the police, and the insurance company see you as a victim of his fraud, not a partner. You get to keep your job. You get real revenge, and you save yourself." We made an oral agreement, right there over a cold croissant. She would be the Judas goat. In return, I would ensure she was not slaughtered with him. I left her and went straight to Antoine's office. It was time. He, a stern-looking huissier, and I stood around a heavy wooden desk. "It is all prepared, Madame Gray," Antoine said. He laid out the documents like a hand of winning cards. "The legalized Texas divorce petition, the official notice of investigation and immediate suspension from Apex Vantage, the formal complaint to the insurance carrier, they are ready for your signature and for delivery." I picked up the pen. My hand was perfectly steady. The timeline was set. 9:45 a.m. Sloan would send the text to Nathan, confirming the urgent high-stakes investor meeting in the Salon Lumiere. The GM would follow up with the formal calendar invite. 9:50 a.m. I would activate the video link. Richard and Elaine would be waiting in the darkness in Dallas. 10 a.m. On the dot. The room was booked. The lawyers were present. The audience was waiting. The allies were in place. All we were missing was the guest of honor. The next morning, at 9:30, I was ready. I did not dress for a confrontation. I dressed for a procedure. I wore a simple, sleeveless black dress, the kind that conveys authority. My hair was pulled back into a tight, severe bun, the way I wear it in the OR. I wore no jewelry, not even my watch. I had already removed my wedding ring. I carried only my laptop, the leather folder of certified documents, and the single, heavy, silver pen I used to sign my charts. Jordan was waiting in the corridor outside my room. He was wearing a dark polo shirt and looked more like a bodyguard than a cameraman. He just nodded at me, his face grim. "Backup's in place," he said quietly. "I'll be in the bar, in sight." "Good," I said. "Let's go." We did not go to the lobby. The general manager, Rousseau, met me at the service elevator and personally escorted me to the Salon Lumiere. It was a beautiful, suffocating room, all gray silk walls and crystal chandeliers. Antoine, my lawyer, and the huissier were already there, standing by the long, polished mahogany table. Sloan was in a chair in the corner, pale and silent. Rousseau gestured to the head of the table. I sat, opened my laptop, and connected it to the large video screen on the wall. I clicked the video link. On the screen, their living room materialized. Richard and Elaine, sitting side by side, their faces gray in the 3 a.m. Texas darkness. They looked like they had not slept in days. They just stared at me, and I nodded once. The stage was set. At 10 a.m. on the dot, the door opened. Nathan Cross walked in, radiating confidence. He was in his best navy blue suit, a red power tie, Sloane's tie at his throat. He was smiling, ready to charm the European investors, ready to save the deal and win back his mistress. He stopped 2 feet into the room. His smile did not just fade, it shattered. He looked from me, at the head of the table, to Sloane in the corner. He looked at the French lawyers. He looked at Rousseau, his hotel host, and then his eyes landed on the massive screen. He saw his parents. Mom, Dad, Tegan. What is this? What the hell is going on? The door clicked shut behind him, the sound of the electronic lock engaging. It was a small, final sound. Sit down, Nathan, I said. My voice was not loud, but it cut through the room. He did not move. I'm not doing anything. What is this? Some kind of ambush? I'd call it a post-operative briefing, I said. I clicked the first slide. On the screen, in high definition, was the scanned image of the $50,000 home equity line of credit. 2 signatures were circled in red. This, I said, pointing to the first, is your signature. This, I pointed to the second, is a forgery of mine. According to the notarized timestamp on this document, it was signed at 11:15 in the morning on October 10th. According to my hospital time card, I was at that exact moment charting a gunshot wound in Trauma Bay 2. I was busy saving a life. You were busy stealing mine. His face went white. That's not that this is insane. Tegan, you signed that? You know you did. Did I? I clicked to the next slide. The screen filled with a new image, an email from his personal account to Sloane's. The subject line, the future. My cursor highlighted a single line. We just need to handle the Tegan problem. A convenient accident during travel would solve everything. Next to it, I displayed the chat log. Just make sure the policy is active before anything happens. And next to that, the $2 million insurance policy itself, the contingent beneficiary section so enlarged it filled the screen. Sloane Pierce, financial dependent. Sloane, Nathan said, his voice cracking, turning on her. You gave her this. You set me up. Quiet, I said. And then, a new voice filled the room, shaking, cold, and amplified by the speakers. Nathan, it was Elaine, his mother. Her face on the screen was a mask of pure, cold fury. Nathaniel Cross, she said, her voice trembling but clear. Were you planning to take your wife to Paris and let her have an accident, just so you could have this money? The room was absolutely silent. Nathan's eyes were wide, darting between the screen, me, and Sloane. He was cornered. He did what all cornered animals do. He attacked. This is ridiculous, he shouted, his voice finally breaking. This is a setup. Tegan hacked my accounts. She's unstable. She's been depressed for years. And her... He pointed a shaking finger at Sloane. She's clearly been manipulating me. She's psychological. None of this is real. The Wi-Fi logs are quite real, Monsieur Cross. Rousseau, the general manager, said quietly. He had not moved from his spot by the wall. My IT department logged every one of these emails and chat messages. They were all sent from your devices, authenticated by your password, from your suite, using our hotel network. It is all documented. Nathan's mouth opened and closed. No sound came out. And then, a new sound. A phone, my phone, which I had placed on the table, set to the speaker. The caller ID read, Mark Cunningham, CEO, Apex Vantage. I answered it. Mark, I said. Tegan. His voice was grim, all business. Is he in the room? He is, I said. Nathan Cross. The CEO's voice boomed over the speakerphone. As of 9 o'clock this morning, the board of directors has voted to place you on immediate, indefinite, unpaid suspension. We have received an anonymous and deeply disturbing dossier detailing multiple acts of federal fraud, including the falsification of NIH grant applications. An internal investigation is underway. We are reporting this to the SEC and the relevant federal authorities. Your corporate accounts, your access, your company cards, everything has been revoked. Do not contact anyone at the company. The line went dead. Nathan stared at the phone. He looked like he had been shot. He finally stumbled, his legs giving out, and he fell into the chair opposite me. Antoine, my lawyer, stood up. He moved with a practiced, solemn grace. He placed a thick stack of legal documents on the polished table in front of Nathan. "Monsieur Cross," he said, his French accent thick and formal. "You are hereby served with a petition for divorce from the state of Texas, citing adultery and felony fraud. You are also served with this temporary court order, freezing all known joint and personal assets, pending a full financial investigation. Your presence in this matter is required." The huissier stepped forward and placed a pen on the stack. "You must sign to acknowledge receipt of these documents." Nathan just stared at them. "No," he whispered. "No, this isn't happening." "If you refuse to sign, monsieur," the huissier said, his voice bored, "I am instructed to have the gendarmes, who are waiting downstairs, personally escort you to the prefecture to receive them." Nathan's hand was shaking so violently he could barely pick up the pen. His eyes locked on mine. They were not filled with remorse. They were not filled with sadness. They were filled with a bottomless, reptilian hatred. He signed the paper, and then came the final cut. Sloane, who had not said a single word, stood up. She walked to the table and slid a simple white envelope across the polished wood until it touched Nathan's signed confession. "What is this?" he whispered. "It's my statement," she said, her voice clear and strong for the first time. "My full written statement to the insurance company and to the Apex Vantage board. It details every lie you told me. How you said she was your abusive ex-wife. How you manipulated me. How you used me." She then reached into her pocket, pulled out the key card to the Grand Seine suite, and placed it gently on top of the envelope. "I am choosing the truth," she said. "I am not choosing you." Rousseau nodded to the 2 hotel security guards who had been standing silently by the door. They moved forward and flanked Nathan. "Monsieur Cross," Rousseau said, "your reservation has been cancelled. Your presence is no longer welcome. My men will escort you to the lobby to retrieve your belongings." They pulled him to his feet. He was a ghost, a shell in an expensive suit. They walked him out of the Salon Lumière, past the Grand Bar, where Jordan was sitting, watching, his phone held discreetly by his side. I watched him go. I turned to the screen, to Richard and Elaine. They looked 100 years old. "It's done," I said. Richard just nodded, his face broken. Elaine was weeping. I ended the call. I gathered my laptop. Antoine and his team were gathering their papers. I thanked them. I thanked Rousseau. I walked out of the Salon Lumière alone. I walked through the gilded lobby, past the lilies, and out the grand front doors. The Parisian sunlight hit me, bright and cool. I stopped on the sidewalk. The air felt clean. I reached into my pocket and took out my wedding ring. 10 years of my life, a circle of heavy, expensive platinum. I looked at it, then at the ornate, wrought iron public trash can on the corner. I did not throw it. I did not drop it. I placed it, very deliberately, on the rim, where the midday sun caught it, one last time. Then I put my hands in my pockets and walked away, not once looking back. Thank you so much for listening to my story. Please drop a comment below and let me know where in the world you are listening from, and share your thoughts on this. Make sure to subscribe to Zoe Revenge Stories and like this video. And please, support us by hitting that hype button so this story can be heard by more people.